Listen up. We're not talking about bad manners or a temper tantrum. We're talking about pathology in a position of power. You spend more time with your boss than your family, and if that person is operating without a conscience, they are not just annoying. They are a threat to your security, your reputation, and your sanity. 4% of CEOs are psychopaths. Is yours one of them? The corporate world is a petri dish for the dark triad traits, and studies suggest that psychopathy is far more prevalent in the executive ranks than in the general population. Why? Because the modern workplace often rewards superficial charm, ruthlessness, and the ability to make cold, calculated decisions without the debilitating interference of guilt. These people are promoted because they are efficient killing machines. The key to your survival is understanding their motive. The narcissist is fighting a war against their own profound insecurity. Their cruelty is a defense mechanism. They need your admiration. The psychopath is fighting a war for power and control. Their cruelty is a strategic tool. They need your utility. We're going to use 7 signs to profile the danger in your corner office. How they react when the company is in trouble is the clearest distinction. The narcissist handles pressure poorly. The crisis threatens their image as a flawless leader, triggering a collapse into volatile emotional panic, rage, and blaming. They become useless to the team because their emotional system is overloaded. The psychopath handles pressure with chilling calm. Since they do not experience fear or moral stress, a crisis is just a complex, high-stakes problem to solve. They become highly focused and efficient, often appearing unnervingly serene while others panic. They see opportunity where others see ruin. Practical test. When a deadline is missed, does your boss melt down and blame the weather? Or do they calmly open a spreadsheet to calculate the exact legal exposure and the most efficient scapegoat? How they manage their audience tells you everything about their core need. The narcissist is the ultimate brown-noser. They are obsequious and charming toward those above them, and often openly disdainful and abusive toward subordinates. They need their superiors to validate their genius and their subordinates to act as their audience. The psychopath is far more subtle. They treat subordinates and superiors with calculated, transactional charm. They don't openly abuse subordinates unless that abuse serves a purpose. They treat superiors not with desperate adoration, but with surgical flattery designed to extract information or resources. The charm is a tool, not a performance. Let me tell you about Agent C. Agent C had a boss who was a psychopath. The boss was flawlessly polite to the janitor, the CEO, and the analyst. But the moment the janitor provided the passcode, the CEO provided the budget, and the analyst provided the data, the charm vanished entirely. It was always about the transaction. The narcissist takes credit for the emotional payoff and shifts blame to avoid the shame. The action is loud, theatrical, and driven by ego defense. They are always the victim who was betrayed by their team. The psychopath takes credit for the material gain and shifts blame to maintain operational integrity. They deflect blame onto a specific, weak target they have been grooming for failure. The action is surgical and instrumental. Key distinction. The narcissist is worried about what people think of them. The psychopath is worried about maintaining their flawless record for the next con. This is a specific, toxic dynamic you see in the narcissistic workplace that separates them from the psychopath. The narcissist cannot tolerate a moment where they are not the central focus. They will actively manufacture drama or interrupt important work not for strategic gain, but simply to pull the attention back to themselves. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark had a narcissistic director who would demand a private, hour-long meeting on a Monday morning to discuss a minor, already resolved issue, purely because the division was about to launch a new, highly anticipated project. The director was hoarding the spotlight before the team could claim the attention. The psychopath's counter. The psychopath is happy to let the attention go to the team, as long as the team's success ultimately flows back to them. They will allow you the temporary spotlight if it means you become a more effective resource for their long-term plan. They don't need the spotlight, they need the harvest. The narcissist uses emotional manipulation to create chaos and establish dominance. They will shame, guilt, or furiously attack someone in a meeting to prove they are the smartest, most powerful person in the room. The goal is ego reinforcement. The psychopath uses calm, logical manipulation to gather information or force compliance. They might deliver a threat in a flat, reasonable tone, or create a situation where a colleague feels obligated to share a secret. The goal is instrumental control. Practical test. When someone cries in a meeting, is it because the boss had a public, defensive meltdown, or because the boss calmly delivered a career-ending threat? How they punish you when you cross them is the ultimate proof of their motive. The narcissist engages in reactive retaliation. They strike back immediately and chaotically when you expose a flaw, challenge their authority, or deny them supply. The action is messy, petty, and often self-sabotaging. They are fighting a personal war of wounded pride. The psychopath engages in strategic retaliation. They often let a slight go, file the information away, and wait for the most opportune moment, when you are vulnerable or when their action serves a greater goal: to destroy you. The action is surgical, quiet, and devastatingly effective. They are fighting an operational war of efficiency. Let me tell you about Agent J. Agent J was consulting on a case where an analyst challenged a narcissistic VP in a meeting. The VP immediately and publicly stripped the analyst of his project. That was the end of it. Messy, public, and reactive. A psychopathic VP would have waited 3 months, quietly compiled a dossier of the analyst's minor errors, and then used that dossier to ensure the analyst missed out on the next promotion or bonus without a trace of personal involvement. The narcissist rarely plans your long-term destruction. They plan to survive their own long-term destruction. Their focus is internal and defensive. The psychopath engages in the long con of your downfall. They will quietly plant seeds of your destruction months in advance, subtly suggesting you're unstable to HR, assigning you to a doomed project, or collecting data on your personal life. They view your destruction as a project with a timeline and a defined objective. Practical test. Does the attack on you seem like a sudden, furious reaction, or a perfectly executed, well-documented campaign? We circle back to the core wiring. The narcissist feels the stress, but they cannot cope with it. They project the stress onto the team in a massive emotional discharge. The psychopath does not feel the stress in the same way. The lack of fear and remorse means they can operate in a state of high chaos with cold precision. The psychopath's key motive is always a calculation. Does the reward outweigh the risk? If they betray the company, a client, or a colleague, they are immediately assessing the probability of exposure. Let me tell you about Agent P. Agent P interviewed a CEO with strong psychopathic traits. When the CEO faced a federal investigation, he didn't panic. He calmly spent a month calculating which loyal executive was the most expendable, and which one would make the most believable fall guy. He was seeking the lowest risk path to freedom. The tactic. A narcissist betrays you out of desperate self-preservation. A psychopath betrays you because they ran the numbers and decided you were the most financially and reputationally advantageous sacrifice. Your defense. Make yourself the least advantageous sacrifice by raising the risk of using you and eliminating your utility. You cannot defeat these people with emotion, you defeat them with facts. Your first survival strategy is to create an irrefutable paper trail that counters their every manipulation. The logbook. Keep a private, secured log of every questionable interaction. Log the date, time, attendees, the abusive language, and the action taken. This is your anchor to reality. The summary email rule. After every meeting, conversation, or directive, immediately send a polite, factual, follow-up email to the boss. Example: Hi boss, just confirming the next steps discussed. I will submit Project X by Friday, and the budget remains $50K. Let me know if that changes. The power. If they don't respond, they have validated your account. If they dispute it, you have a traceable argument. The psychopath hates this friction. The narcissist avoids it because it requires too much effort. Externalize everything. Never rely on your memory. Use shared digital calendars, verifiable cloud storage, and external witnesses for important conversations. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah's narcissistic boss would constantly lie about deadlines. Sarah started sending summary emails after every conversation. The deadlines were never missed again because the boss knew Sarah had the receipts. Friction neutralized the manipulation. The gray rock method is your shield against their daily manipulation. It's designed to make you so utterly boring and emotionally flat that the toxic person loses interest. 1. Emotional flatline. Your face and voice should be neutral, like an automated voice system. No highs, no lows, no musicality. You are not angry and you are not amused. You are simply present. 2. Factual-only communication. Never give them emotional supply. Toxic question. How was your weekend? Right arrow, gray rock. Response. It was fine. Thanks. Toxic bait. Did you hear what X did? They are so incompetent. Right arrow, gray rock. Response. I don't discuss colleague matters. 3. Low utility. Give them exactly what they ask for, but nothing more. Do not offer unsolicited opinions, extra help, or personal details. The psychopath needs useful tools. Make yourself boring and minimally useful. The narcissist needs attention. Make yourself emotionally barren. The test of consistency. Both types will test your gray rock with escalation. The narcissist will get louder. The psychopath will get colder. If you hold the line, they will seek a more rewarding source of supply or utility. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark had a sociopathic colleague who constantly initiated drama. Mark adopted gray rock. Every conversation was reduced to one-sentence, factual replies. The colleague tried for a week, then got bored and focused their drama elsewhere. Boredom is your weapon. Gray rock and documentation are defensive tools. Your ultimate strategy is a planned, permanent exit. You cannot win the game, you can only choose not to play. 1. Secret asset security. Immediately secure all personal and financial assets. Change passwords, update legal documents, and open a private, non-company bank account. 2. Networking. Outside, discreetly activate your external network. Look for a new job in a different industry or city to put distance between you and the predator. Do not use your toxic boss as a reference. 3. The silent exit protocol. Once you have secured a new position, your departure must be swift, silent, and final. Do not announce. Do not provide 2 weeks' notice if you fear retaliation. Let your attorney or HR handle the final paperwork. Do not lecture. Your final communication should be through your lawyer or a neutral, one-sentence resignation email with no explanation. Do not give the narcissist a final source of supply or the psychopath a final warning. Prioritize safety. The moment you are free, go, no contact, and block them on all professional and social media platforms. The knowledge you have gained is not for revenge. It is for survival. Use these cold laws to protect your kingdom. Would you like me to generate the supporting content package based on this script?